I spent over £136,000 on Facebook ads and made over £600,000 back in revenue. Now, if I'm being honest, this is on the lower side because our tickets are really high and we spend quite a lot every single month. But other tutors that work with me have achieved 10x, 20x or even 36x returns on their ad spend. So there's probably no one in a better position to tell you exactly what is working right now in the tutoring space. That's exactly what we're going to do in this video. Let's get into it. So first things first, I have to show you what I've tried in the past and what failed. We started off by running lead forms and a paid call center. So one of the first things I tried when I started running paid ads for my tutoring business was lead forms that fed straight into an expensive call center. It looked like it was working because we hit 4K in recurring revenue in about 3 months. But then I was spending 3K of that back into ads and another 1K on a call center to call the leads up within 60 seconds because of how important speed to lead is. So we were basically profiting zero at the end. And the only reason I was doing this was because the agency that I had signed up with had made this work with another tutoring business, and they felt like this was the only way to scale in this niche. But actually spending all of your money at the end of the month that you had earned back into ads, back into a call center, and continuously taking sales calls and teaching all day long while making zero profit was really frustrating. We continued this for about 5 months. We managed to get to around 10K per month, and we were at a point where we couldn't really increase the ad spend because things would plateau or even become unprofitable. And the second thing I did that failed was advertising hourly or monthly offers. So we started off with this because this is again what I knew. We'd just run a monthly program where we do 2 hours a week of group tutoring, and our ads had nothing special in it. We just talk about how we could help someone pass the 11+ exam. I had to really grasp for sales at this point. I was trying to charge £160 a month. Most people still found that too expensive. I'd run a discount offer if someone would pay within the same day or the next day, where I'd give it to them for £120 for the first month, and even then people were still struggling to pay us. So we kept attracting these poor leads who couldn't afford our programs, and it was just getting harder and harder to scale. So these are two things that just don't really work or haven't worked for us in the past. So let's look at what actually did work and what is still working for us right now. So one of the things that we've changed is the avatar in our ads. Now, fundamentally, what you're going to find out is people will buy from people that look like them. So if, for example, like me, you look like a young brown dude who's still in school, you're going to attract other brown parents. And in many cases, brown people don't necessarily have the biggest wallets. So what we started doing was testing out AI avatar ads. We'd generate different races, people in suits, people doing presentations, people that looked like head teachers and headmasters and qualified teachers. And that actually seemed to attract some better buyers for us and had a lower cost per acquisition overall, which is what we are aiming for. The next thing is actually having outcome and guarantee hooks. A hook is 80% of what actually makes an ad work. And the hook that we have been running that has pretty much made 80 to 90% of our revenue is a simple hook where it says, do you want your child to confidently get XYZ result? XYZ result. We will guarantee them XYZ result or you don't pay. And the reason this works is, again, people are going to be scrolling past your ad within a millisecond of seeing it. If you're able to catch their attention within the first few seconds and they are directly called out for an outcome that they want, they're much more likely to stay or even click on your landing page. And you can see the type of results that our clients have got with this exact hook structure. George, for example, spent around £400. He made 7K and got fully booked out within a few weeks. Sai spent only £40, and these results are not typical because he's in a crazy profitable niche right now. He spent £40 and made 8.1K from this exact structure. And Shamir as well closed 5.5K from what looks like around £500 in ad spend. So the third thing is studio recorded ads. And before I started using studio shot ads, I used to film ads in my bedroom with bad lighting or in a park. And the reason why it didn't really work very well was because that was perceived as low effort. Parents would usually saw that as unserious or even many times would think it's a scam. It would plant doubt before the offer was even presented. And that doubt is hard to undo once it's there. So what goes into a high effort studio ad? Again, it can be yourself if you feel like you're going to attract the right type of buyers. You pretty much just have to go and hire out a studio, make sure you've got everything prepared, and go and record yourself, get it professionally edited as well. We've in the past used UGC actors as well, who have their own studios. That can make things a lot quicker, although it might be a bit more expensive. But realistically, if you're unable to afford this, what we do with our people who are just starting out, we tell them to at least be in a background that actually signals they know what they're doing. So if you're a qualified teacher and you can record in a classroom, at least implicitly, it's going to signal that you know what you're doing. For our medical admissions and dental admissions, we get them to record either in clinic when they're wearing scrubs and an NHS lanyard, if they're able to, again, record. And all of those subtle details are really important. So number 4 is organic content. Before a stranger converts from your ad, they have to trust you first. And the trust isn't going to be built from just an ad alone. One of the ways that you can get them to build trust is by having an existing social presence. Because when a parent is scrolling and sees a tutoring ad, they have no reason to actually believe whatever the ad says before they actually book a call. Before they actually book a call, based off of the claims that you're making, they'll probably check out whether you're a real person and whether you can actually deliver. The buyer's journey, as you can see, is going to start off by them seeing the ad. They might click through to your VSL where you get to actually educate them further. And before they book a call, they might end up checking your existing social presence. That's going to be looking at the reels that you've posted on Instagram, looking up your website and seeing your reviews. And we've had many clients in the past who, for example, they teach on their reels, and the parents can clearly tell that this person is a good teacher just from these short videos that they're watching. Or their students have watched their YouTube videos where they're teaching a concept. We've also had clients who literally just have a really strong presence. We've also worked with clients who literally just have really good public speaking skills, and that delivers across in the ad and in their reels. And parents have literally just said, like, I don't need a trial lesson. I can see by the way you speak, you're going to be a good teacher, so I want to sign up. In terms of what to post, you're going to ideally want to be targeting parents, but you can also post things where you're teaching. Like I mentioned, that can build some trust. Number 5 is going to be your VSL landing page. So your ads get impressions and clicks, but what you've got set up in the back end is what actually converts those clicks into booked calls and clients. In terms of our landing page, it's obviously really important that you have a call out at the start, so attention to the parents that you're looking for. You want a very simple headline where you mention ideally your guarantee, and then your VSL is not only to educate, but also to build some trust. Like I mentioned, you want to look extremely professional in this. You want to have a strong background. We like to add some pills here where we add some urgency in terms of the spots left and when the cohort closes. And you're either going to have a questionnaire form here where you can get them to have some more buy-in, get them to fill out a questionnaire, and using those details, you can disqualify some parents if you figure out that this answer leads to a bad lead. And we like to use long scrolls. So you build out your testimonials at the bottom. You also build out some more assets here, for example, some details on yourself, your co-founder, your success rates, and your exact mechanism. And obviously some frequently asked questions at the bottom. Now, you know your ads are working when you actually track the numbers. So these are some important KPIs that you should be targeting. Now, to show you our numbers on our flagship offer, these are not typical. So I'm going to show you what you should have in terms of expected numbers, because we sell a much higher ticket program than most tutoring companies. Our cost per lead is around £10 to £20. This can be pretty standard. Our cost per booked call can be around 50, but almost up to £100 in some cases. And our cost per acquisition ends up being around £1,000. And as you can see, in terms of the return that we're getting, if we're averaging a 6K ticket price, sometimes a 15K ticket price, it's a pretty decent return. In terms of numbers that we've got in terms of show rate, we've got around 50% at the moment, which we are trying to improve. And our close rate is also around 15 to 20%. Again, these are slightly lower than what you'd want to aim for if you're selling, for example, GCSE or A-level tutoring or something that is a bit lower ticket. And these can always be improved. In terms of what you should expect, again, a £10 to £20 cost per lead is pretty standard. What we usually look at is a 2x to 3x cut off. So if your cost per lead ends up being £50 or more, you've probably got something wrong with your ad set and your creatives. So you want to make a pivot. Your cost per booked call should be around £20 to £40. This can vary depending on, again, how quickly are you calling up your leads, Do you have the right automations in place to actually convert them into a call? And your cost per acquisition, again, your CAC should be around 100 to 200 pounds. Most people are going to be selling a 1 to 2k package. So that's how we achieve these sort of 10x ROASs in tutoring. Again, show rate should be ideally minimum of 50%. Close rate should be 25% or more. And in some cases, we've got tutors who are doing 50%, 70% or 80% close rates. If you look at George before, he closed around 60% of his leads. Now that's not going to maintain if you continue to increase your ad spend and go to colder audiences, but you can definitely maintain a pretty high ad spend. So that's pretty much what's gotten me to my 4x ROI on my £136,000 in ad spend selling high ticket tutoring services in the last year. And you can absolutely figure all of these out on your own. The hooks that works, the creatives that work, the VSL, the backend system, or you can just copy everything I've shown you in this video. But plenty of people get stuck because it takes lots of trial and error to get them all working for your business. So if you want help building it all out to avoid wasting time and money, there's a link in the description with the details on how I can help.